My name is Mzuzukile Soni. This is my first live stream since the past 2 months. Never see any data. Maybe data is holding no prof namhlanje. But anyway, thank you guys for joining in. Please comment if the audio is bad or whatever. I've been struggling with my mic lately. So I am going to add my guest of honor. Hello. Hi, Prof. How are you?
Am I on?
Yeah, you are live.
Okay.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I should have gotten a book display, I mean, even the background that aligns with my guest tonight.
Oh, you like books. Oh, okay. I thought you wanted to brand my background.
Yeah, how are you though?
I'm very well, sir. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you.
Good, good, good.
Yeah. I think just for housekeeping purposes, I'm just going to announce in advance that I've got load shedding coming up at 8, but we should be done by then. I might have some disturbances, either my son or my dog. So please excuse me.
Oh,
If,
so they might have unannounced.
if one of those two, yeah. But
Okay.
otherwise, thank you for accepting my invitation. I'm just going to test with our audience if we are loud and clear on their side. I see we have a first comment. Guys, thanks for joining us tonight. If you may comment that we are loud and clear. Atina tattoo on the biceps.
Oh, yeah, I do.
What do they say?
Forgiven, believe.
Nice. I've got John 3:16 here, but you can't
Okay.
see it, of course.
All
So I
right.
think you've given me an idea what to excuse me, what to add. But anyway, I think we are loud and clear.
Okay.
This is quite an honor to have you. I think when I sent you the invitation after I hit send, it was one of those moments of Mzu, what are you thinking? Sure, Uti, this is really what you want to do. And that really has, with the high esteem, that I hold in, and I'm quite sure that a lot of our guests, our viewers, also hold you in the same regard. Can I use the R, the name that starts with R?
No, you call me Kheti.
Yeah?
You can call me
You
Kheti. Kheti.
cannot. Not the R one.
Yeah.
Anyway, like I said, thanks again. I'm just going to read a quick intro because, I think I just want people to know. Abanye bayangiphikisa be like I'm Zulu uyazibhikela wena. You know, in whose company I'm in tonight. So I'm just going to summarize it because of time constraints. And do excuse me if my eyes shift away from the lens.
No
It's
problem.
because I'm the presenter, I'm the editor, I'm the everything in the background. Anyway, like I said, welcome again. Just quickly, I'm in the company of Mamokgethi Phakeng. Mamokgethi Phakeng is a South African professor of mathematics education who in 2018 became a vice chancellor of the United States, the University of Cape Town. She has been the vice principal of research and innovation at the University of South Africa and acting executive dean of the College of Science, Engineering and Technology at UNISA. In 2018, she was an invited speaker at the International Congresses of Mathematicians. There's a lot more, I think I would like to begin with your background, who is Mamokgethi Phakeng, your background, where you hail from. including family, and any inspiration along your upbringing that you would credit as having contributed towards the path that you ended up taking?
Yeah, well, I'm from Garanku. I mean, every black person my age has got a village, a township, and where they sleep now. So my village is Marapian, which is in Mpumalanga. It used to be in Botswana during apartheid. It was in a homeland of Botswana. And my township is Garankua, which also was in the homeland of Botswana during apartheid. And I currently live in Cape Town. And I'm here in Cape Town because of work. I'm an academic, and but I've got things that I care about, causes that I care about, passionately about, and I guess those are the causes that make me end up being in academia. Perhaps just also for the purposes of this, I prefer not to talk about people around me, whether it's family, because unfortunately, Mzu, this world we live in is a brutal world.
Yeah.
People will hate you for your achievements, and therefore demonize and harass anyone who's close to you.
Yeah.
And so I prefer that my private life is private, and those who out themselves, whether it's my children or cousins or whatever, they can do so on their own. I'm not going to endanger their lives, because I know how brutal this world can be, especially people who look like me, because it is as if, because I was born in poverty, I was supposed to stay there. The fact that I've come out there makes some people angry. Some people even argue with me that did I really, really start school under a tree? Do I really know what poverty is about? And to be honest with you, the poverty that I experienced is way worse than the poverty of today. The poverty of today was comfort in my time. The poverty that I experienced was worse than today. But so I prefer that I stand up alone, and those who want to shoot me, they must be bold enough to come for me, rather than target those who are related to me. So I will not talk about other people until the other people out themselves.
Yeah.
But that's me. I mean, I don't think this story of mine is specific or special. I think many people who have gotten to the levels of my achievement and come from where have similar kind of backgrounds and have a similar kind of profile probably are experiencing the same.
Sure.
And maybe some are hiding. They don't even want to be prominent because they price that they have to pay. So I choose to come on my own, even though I know that a lot of people in the background standing with me. I want them to I don't want them to suffer for me, because I don't think it's fair.
Yeah. No, I get that. And you know what they say about the tallest tree,
Well, there are many tall trees. Some are white, and they don't get attacked that way, because white people don't do that to each other. We do that to one another as black
That's a
people.
really good point. That's a really good point. Yeah.
And in fact, white people know that. They don't even have to do much. They know that we do this to one another. And if I'm going to have to go, they know that it's going to be a black person, and they don't have to do much. They can just plant a seed. And they know that some black woman is going to run with it. Some black man is going to run with it. So it's not just about the tallest tree. It's also about the nature, the being of the tree, that to get people to act, because people don't run after other people who are at my level. If I were a failure, I'll be getting a lot of shame, even though they wouldn't feed me, right? So it's almost like when you succeed, for some people, not for everyone. I'm talking about for the auditorium detractors, right? It's almost like, why do you do this? You make it look like we never suffered. And then when you talk about your suffering, why is she talking about her suffering? She makes her stories weak. Because if she suffered this much and she managed to achieve this, then people are saying, what's wrong with you? No. That's not the issue. I'm a survivor. Apartheid was hard. There's a lot of people who have survived who didn't. It was brutal. But the fact that I went through that, I shouldn't be shy to say it. That I didn't go to preschool. I didn't go to crash. It was a luxury. I didn't even know that something like that existed. So. Yeah, I'm going on and on because you touched me on my studio.
I'm sorry. That's what I'm here to. I said you in a nice way.
Like I say, I should tell you about family and whatever. No. You should invite them if you want to know about them. I don't want to put their lives in danger.
Yeah, we'll do a family lives thing. Yeah, no, but that's really helpful. Also, what you've touched on, because it also adds to the conversation that I would like to have with you, which is, there's Prof that we know as a public figure and what we see, and there's you as the individual, right? You spend the most time with yourself, and there's parts of you that obviously we never really get to see. So my desire, one of the desired outcomes, is to understand and to get into your headspace, Uguchi, publicly and looking at you from a distance, and also based on that, some of the things that you've mentioned now, you do come across as someone that is extremely, mentally strong, resilient, hardworking, and what I know from my own experience, in the few years that I've lived here on Earth, is that doesn't come without some kind of experience and life lessons and all of those things. It may come, with some natural, innate thing, which maybe, I don't know, from family or whatever. Sorry, I mentioned family again, but give us a picture of you as a little girl. What was Mamokgethi like as a? I don't know how far back your memory goes in your childhood. 5 years old, maybe.
I mean, yeah, my memory goes far. It's interesting that I'm on a leadership program, and today actually we're presenting about our timeline in terms of life and where things were. And let me just pick this up, and then you'll see.
Okay. All right.
I won't talk to it completely, but I drew it up here, and if you notice, I did sort of a graph.
Yeah.
And this is age 10, 20, and look below 0. Then my early life was rough.
Sure.
That's why the graph starts below 0.
Yeah.
And then of course it gets better. I won't take you through all of it because yeah. But the early life was spent. I mean, my mother started as a domestic worker. She worked in the factories. She got married too young, I think 18 or less, and she went back to school after having 3 children. And so, we grew up with a mother who was not educated, and then went back to school when I started school. And of course, we lived with a grandmother, and it wasn't the nicest of times. I mean, I started school at 5 years old, going for 6. And that's way too young, given, I mean, today it's not even the age, right? You've got to be 6 going to 7, or 7 going to, or 6 going to 7. I started 5 going to 6. And my birthday is at the end of the year. So I'm not those 5 going to 6 who birthday in April or whatever. I'm right at the end of the year. And that's small.
Yeah.
Okay? I'm very small. So so it wasn't necessarily a smooth start of life. You're not living with your parents. You're living in the village. You're not necessarily the favorite of your grandmother. and you have to wake up in the morning to go fetch water before you go to school. The school is about 5 to 7 kilometers before you get there. You know, it's just hectic. So the beginning of life wasn't necessarily, and you know, Black people my age, you know how tough your life is by checking when do you start having pictures. So I don't have pictures, for example, as a baby. There's one picture where a black and white picture where my sister and I, my mother has got my sister on her lap. Probably I'm 4, maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm 5. I don't know. But that's the first picture. But it tells you, and then as you go along, you check where the pictures are and when were they taken, and the time to take pictures were in Christmas. That kind of thing tells you how poor the people were. Those people who have pictures as babies, life wasn't that hard, because it was hard, but not as hard as the rest of us, because you had a photographer. Because we got to a time where the photographers were going past the street on Christmas Day or on New Year's Day, because people have new clothes, and the photographer is called to take pictures because they made money on that day. So my early life, my memories of my early life as a child below 10, it's not a really pleasant one. It's memories of having breakfast. A good breakfast is a breakfast of pap that was cooked yesterday, leftover pap from last night, and tea. And on a bad day, the pap is not even there, and the tea is not even there. It's water and sugars, kambelele, you know. Supper can get as rough as you know, pap and water and sugar, and it, you know, the maize meal of the time wasn't vitamin enriched. So every year you'd get skin disease, lekker krap, they used to call it, because you moet krap, because your skin peels, and but that's just because you're not getting enough nutrients. So and that's just the order of the day. That was just what happens. Ringworms on your head, on your body. I mean, that was just what it is. And you know, you didn't go to the clinic for it. We knew that this one has got this one has got that, and you'll grow out of it. The most joyous time is Easter time, when we are harvesting like maize and this and that. You know, so that's sort of my memories of you know, 10 years and younger. And that's the year that I went to school. I mean, it's like for Christmas we got uniform, and uniform were long gym dresses, the black gym dresses that were long, that we were supposed to wear for the rest of our lives, you know. Exactly. But we were very happy because we wanted to go to school. So here's the thing. Me, I wanted to go to school. Going to school was a lifesaver. I wanted to go to school from when I was young. And there was an exercise that they did, that if you can hold your ear, your left ear with your right hand, then you're old enough. You're big enough to go to school. So I always wanted to go to. In fact, I was reflecting not long time ago that actually throughout my education up to university, I have never missed a class, ever. Whether I'm seeing the whole, from grade 1 up to the whole university, up to masters, as long as there was a class, I was there. Because school was a lifesaver. I had to be there. So even when I was sick, I would go to school. And I was telling my children that when I was at primary, higher primary, and so on, I mean, you know, poverty was so rife that we would go to school, you'd be so hungry, maybe, you know, break time comes, you go home, but there's nothing else to eat at home. You just drink water. Or you eat the food that was left over yesterday, and maybe it's rotten or whatever, it doesn't matter, you just eat. And usually after break at school, many of us would get sick. Some would vomit, some would be dizzy. There was a sick room in the township schools. There was next to the staff room, a sick room. Because when I think back at it, I'm like, we were damn hungry. All you needed was a damn apple and we'll be fine, you know. But that's just what it was. You chill in the sick room until the dizziness sort of gets better, and then you go back to class. Or you know, the vomit is done, you rinse your mouth, go back to class, and you go home. And then you eat dinner, you know, and dinner was the meal that was there, you know, pap and mohodu on a good day, you know. So that's, yeah, that's just what it was. So school has always been a lifesaver. I had a sense of urgency about achieving something. I developed a fear for poverty very early in life, that I don't want to live like this.
Sure.
My younger sister and I used to talk together because we grew up like twins. We would say, I'm gonna buy so much ice cream. And I would say, you know, we are going to eat it. Like, because it was something that we didn't have, right? And the neighbors had, you know, we were the kids who on Sunday, we would go to the neighbor's house opposite us because they were a little better off and they were eating better food. And of course, they had a toilet in the house. It was a big house and they had a bath. So we would go there and we would go there and just in time so that when they go to the bath, we can maybe go in with them, you know. And so the sense of urgency of getting out of poverty, like, was huge. And my dad drummed it in us that education is the only way out.
Yeah. Wow, that's really powerful. I'm going to share one of the comments that someone has made here. You won't see the name because they didn't register on the link, but what a powerful woman, always inspired after listening to her talks. It's really inspiring what you've said, and I think anyone that relates to that kind of a childhood, you know, and looking at where you are, and my belief is that, you know, you're not done yet, right? It shows Uguti, you know, with the kind of persistence and work ethic and commitment, discipline, and so forth. There's so much that can be achieved. At what stage do you get to realize Uguti mathematics is your thing? You know, and maybe that's what you're interested in.
You know, it was I think when the penny really dropped was when I went to boarding school, not boarding school, when I was at high school. But maybe let me start here, because when I did standard 5, which is grade 7, my mathematics teacher had a daughter who was my age, and my mathematics teacher was the principal of the school, and he had this idea that I am as smart as his daughter. And so he said to me, you have to beat mommy. Mommy was the daughter. Mommy should never beat you at any test. And mommy was not in our school, was in a better school. Wow. And so every time we write a test and I get less than mommy, even if I got a 70%, I got caned with people who failed, right? And he would say, because you are capable, you can do this. Mommy got a 90%. How dare you get a 70? So he made me compete with this person who I never knew and was super bright. And then when I was doing grade 10, my mother registered me at a winter school during June, where they were going to be teaching mathematics. In my school, they were teaching science. And this at this winter school, mommy was there. That was the first time I met mommy after many years of hearing about her. And so I met other girls who were smarter, and then I got to know mommy, like, this is the mommy who are, you know. But that winter school, besides the fact that there was a teacher at grade 7 who believed in me, even when I didn't believe in myself. And I think that's important, right? And at grade 10, I meet these girls and this teacher who in the 2 weeks during the holidays just introduced us to Euclidean geometry, started talking telling us about the axioms and theorems, what's the difference, how do you solve it, prove a theorem, and how do you know what's to prove, and how do you, I mean, I got it, man. I got it in that June holidays, right? And I went back to school after the June holidays.
Yeah.
You know, confident, feeling like I've got it. You know, they were not geometry. Euclidean geometry is difficult. It's not easy. Let me not say it's difficult, but many teachers jump it, don't teach it. Many learners are scared of it. But actually it makes sense, right? So I got it, but it taught me sort of something about the structure of mathematics and you know, and how to make sense of mathematics. The teacher also made us aware that, you know, mathematics, actually you can get 100%, he said. You know, you've got to figure out, after you've done your problem, you can look at it and see. You can basically see, he said, whether your solution is correct or wrong. And he said, even if you don't know what the correct answer is, at least be aware that the answer that you have is wrong. Like develop this, you know. So I started learning, you know, and then I realized, no, actually I don't have to memorize. I was never good at memorizing. And so getting the big idea and running with it became my hiding place. Mathematics became my hiding place. It's not that I was smarter or whatever. It's because the other stuff was just too difficult. I needed to memorize. With biology, I needed to memorize all the bones and what is this one called? What is this? With history, I needed to memorize facts, the dates, and what. With mathematics, I didn't have to. Wow. I needed to know the big idea. Once you know the big idea and the ideas connect, then I can run with it. I'm not good with memorizing. And so I tried to memorize. But when I got to a stage where I realized you need the big idea, things fell into place. And so it was a hiding place. It was because I couldn't do much. Even at university, I failed biology, I failed chemistry, but I passed maths.
Wow.
Not little, with above 70. Okay. My highest score on my transcript throughout my university years is mathematics. Okay. And I was clear that I'm not going to spend extra years at university. Remember the sense of urgency. I always had the sense of urgency. But I became clear about what is it that I'm here for? What am I at university for? Am I here to prove that I can wear a white lab coat in the laboratory doing chemistry, even though I don't like it? I thought, no, I don't care about that. I love maths. It makes sense. I can do it. So I'm going to stick with it. I don't care. Any other thing is just an accompaniment, but I want to get out with maths. And I guess maybe finally the other thing that got me into maths, my parents never talked about maths as difficult. They never talked about anything as difficult. There was never anything at home that they said is difficult. Nothing. My dad said, you've got to be the top. You've got to be the top. Any subject, you'd be like, you've got to be the top. My brother was known as the smart one in the family, and he didn't do maths. He's the only one who didn't do maths. So there wasn't any hierarchy that math is better. He did history. All right. Wow. We grew up knowing that he is the smart one. We should be like him. We only realized after we got our degrees that, the bugger didn't even do maths. People who did maths are smart. But it's because my parents never put any importance on any subject. What they put importance on was you've got to be excellent in everything you do.
Yes, that's a powerful thing. So you know, my experience in school, you know, was when it came to mathematics was instilled, you know, from the people that taught it. There was just that thing where once you get to see with the next subject, you know, in the timetable, it's mathematics, there's anxiety, and it's like, it's a double period. What would you advise, you know, and I suppose that's more a question with reference to how you would advise people in a position of influence, like teachers and parents, that they approach it in terms of, especially kids, you know, very impressionable, very much looking at this and depending on this person. And especially a child, maybe that doesn't have the benefit of parents that might have the mindset of saying, that thing is not difficult. You can achieve X, Y, and Z as long as you commit yourself to it. Yeah.
So I mean, the first thing I would say to everyone in the country, anyone in the world, please, if you don't have anything good to say about mathematics, don't say anything at all. Like we didn't ask you. Just like you never say anything out of the blue. You never say anything bad about geography, do you? You don't. Nobody does.
Yeah.
Why do you feel comfortable to say about mathematics? So I would say to parents, don't. Even if you were horrible at math, don't. It's nobody's business, because the minute you keep talking about that, you are saying to children who haven't even tried it, you are saying to them, it chowed me, it's gonna chow you. Okay, if it chows you, or don't even try. So I think that's the first thing. Don't say. Pastors in church, don't say anything. When someone tells you they got this at maths, don't say, oh, it means you're smart, but you don't say with someone in distinction. So don't. If you're going to say someone who passed maths is smart, even the person who passed geography is smart, and the one, praise them in the way, like, let's drive excellence rather than saying one subject is better than the other, or you are smart if you've got one or the other, because that will make young people have the guts to get into mathematics. At the moment, children are being scared of mathematics before they even do it. And some of them are good at it, but then they cheat. And then for teachers, here's the thing, mathematics is a connected subject. It's a hierarchical subject. The mathematics at grade 1 is very important. If you don't get the mathematics at grade 1, the mathematics at grade 4 is going to be difficult. You've got to understand the concept of number to understand the concept of fraction. You've got to understand the concept of fraction to understand the concept of algebraic expression. If you don't understand algebraic expression, then the remainder theorem becomes difficult. If you don't understand the remainder theorem, then calculus becomes impossible. But all these things, so, sometimes you find young people doing calculus, but they still can't do fractions, right? Everything is clear, but the pin dropped at fractions, right? So never underestimate what level you are teaching as a mathematics teacher. Make your learners aware that mathematics that you're teaching them at grade 7 is going to be very important when they go to university and they're doing matrices. Then even their factorization is going to be important. So, because that's just how mathematics is. And then for learners, don't never say, oh no, I don't understand chapter 1, I will focus on chapter, or I don't understand these algebra is difficult, I'll just focus on trigonometry, or I'll just focus on geometry. Because actually, many of the trig equations that you solve, you use algebraic principles. Methods, you use them in all the other areas. So these things are connected. Mathematics is connected. So don't. And here's the thing: in mathematics, you can afford to not to memorize, not to do much, to understand the big idea, how factorization works. Then you can do all the problems that they have in the book. It doesn't matter what color it comes. You can do it. So you really, every day as a learner, make sure that you just spend an hour, go through everything that they did in class, and then look forward so that tomorrow when they teach, sort of, you are not seeing these things for the first time. And don't just go to the answer. The answer is useless. The big thing is, do you understand? Okay, because when you understand, it doesn't matter how you get to the answer, as long as you can do the problem. You can get to it any other way. But it's a fun subject, frankly speaking. And teachers, when I taught at school, my approach has always been, make the learners love mathematics. Once you make them love mathematics, only then will they want to do it and will they perform better at it. So find ways of making it fun for them, and people think when you're teaching grade 11s and 12s, you can do that. And I had many different ways of doing that. Some of the students I taught follow me on Facebook and on social media. And I mean, if we had the whole day, I would tell you some of the things that I did. But yeah, I had fun teaching high school kids, and because you can make it fun, and you can catch their curiosity, and then they want to come over and over again.
Yeah, yeah. You know, I was laughing earlier because you touched on something that I did without anyone telling you when I was in high school.
Yeah.
Because I struggled with maths, but as soon as I did something where whenever I got home, I would do revision.
Yeah.
And then prepare the next chapter for the next day. So what
Exactly.
that meant is that I'm doing one thing 3 times. So I did it when I was in class, and I revised it. Then the next day, more like a cycle. And I found that process or that approach, you know,
Yes.
to remove that anxiety. But also it had to do with the teacher. You know, I was taught by this elderly lady who was extremely patient as well. You know, one thing I've seen is whenever I've been to parents, you know, the school meetings, and you speak to the team, mathematics is your thing. You know,
Yeah.
I'm getting myself. Um, whenever I speak to them, the frustration I pick up from them has been that it's more a frustration of them as teachers not being able to simplify it for the learner. And then they take out that frustration on the child and then stigmatize the child by saying, these are the top 4 kids. I like them because first time I teach a concept, they grasp
Okay.
it. The rest of you need special, you know, you need extra lessons and all sorts of interventions.
But here's the thing.
Um,
So you
hmm,
know what? I
hmm,
think this world doesn't understand how difficult teaching is.
hmm,
Teaching is a tough job.
hmm,
And if you're a mathematics teacher, you know, I always say, you know, mathematics is easy, but teaching it is hard. Okay,
yeah,
you can do it for yourself. The fact that you can do mathematics for yourself doesn't mean you can do it, you can teach it. Because when
yeah,
you teach mathematics, you are actually, part of what you do is diagnosis. If
yeah,
a child gets a solution wrong, your job is not just to say you are wrong. That's not teaching. Okay, you look and you figure out, where did they go wrong? You diagnose, where's the error? Where does this error come from?
hmm,
What caused it? Because it's only when you do that you can go to the error and you unravel that so that the child doesn't repeat the error. So if you
hmm,
just say you got it wrong, go back and do it right, or Mtokozi, show him what's the correct one, that's
yeah,
not the job. So you can check in class and then you can see, okay, these are, and I'm talking people who have big classes, or you ask some of them to write them on the board, then you might have 3 errors on the board,
yeah,
3 solutions, and maybe they have different errors. Sometimes it's fascinating in class. You find that they've made the same error.
hmm,
Your diagnosis, you go there, and you might have other learners helping to unravel, to unpack why this is wrong. That's very important. Why is it wrong? It's not to say this is what's correct.
hmm,
And when you do that, you look at why it is wrong. That's where you get at where did the missing bit fall off? Is it at
hmm,
fractions, at factorization? Is it at this, or is it at that? And then you can unpack that. Then the child realizes, oh, it's because I didn't understand the fractions. Now I get it. And then they can get things right.
yeah,
And then you don't make them feel stupid. They can pick up and they go with it. I'm saying it like it's easy, but if you think about it, doctors do the same. You go to a doctor,
yeah,
they have to figure out, why is your back sore?
yeah,
It's not always the same reason why my back is sore and yours is sore. It's not always the
hmm,
same. And so they probe, they ask you many different questions. So with teachers, we do the same as well. When you do the mathematics for yourself, you don't have to do that. because you just solve, you use the method that you know, you just solve them. You don't have to figure out why anybody else got it wrong. You do it yourself. So it's much easier to do that because you do what you understand. Whereas when you're teaching it, you've got to understand where the learner comes from. And that's the challenge of teaching. That's the challenge of teaching. And anyone who goes into teaching has to love children. You have to have a love for young people. If you hate young people, you are not going to be a good teacher, because you've got to be willing to engage with them, to ask questions, to figure out, so that you can get to the right path. And when I say young people, I mean even the difficult ones that might not love you at first, that you've got to get them to the level where they go, I get this.
Yeah. No, that's really powerful. Someone made a comment here which talks to something I was thinking while you were demystifying mathematics. Maths Made Easy by Prof M. Very fun subject indeed. There's a lady that wrote she basically simplified the learner's book for kids, for primary school kids. Made it easier for them to understand at that level. Is that something that you would consider doing when it comes, or would you find any value, in terms of these little ones here, who love to watch cartoons and they get information and knowledge when it's presented to them in a certain format, and the reason for that obviously comes from a place of what maybe we might need to do as a country, and not only when it comes to mathematics, but just basically education and anything else that matters. But maths in this case, would that be something that we show Yamapopai, so not a show, but like demystify, because while you're saying this, I'm like, okay, I'm feeling like I'm in class now, I'm being schooled. And the more, if I would spend more time, I'd be like, okay, now I would be that top A student if I was exposed to that kind of, environment.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I'm saying we have to make learners love mathematics. And one way of doing that is animations, but the other way of doing it is games. At some stage, I took a course in the mid-90s. In 1995, I went to the University of California and I took a family mathematics course. And that time I was working in the morning with the teachers in the classroom and learners. In the afternoon, working with teachers to prepare for lessons tomorrow. And in the evening, I'll go and meet with parents to help parents on how they can help their children learn mathematics, even if they are not educated. And it was really primary school kids. And games are a good way to do that, where children can actually grasp some concepts. And of course, the issue is that you shouldn't stop at the cartoon or the game. At the end of the day, they should see the maths in it, and that's your task as an adult to show them. You see, this is like what we do, multiplication, and then they'll get it. But it's a perfect way because children love cartoons. Children love cartoons. So I would be happy with any approach that sort of makes, I wouldn't say simplifies, but I would say makes mathematics accessible for learners, makes it fun for learners. I think that's that's important, and the ways of making it fun are different. There are books that use stories, whatever. Some use cartoons, some use games, some use all of that, and I think that I would encourage that.
Awesome. That's great, Prof. So I think as a closing point, not point as in Sesia Valamanj, I've just reminded myself of when you're at an event or maybe a church, and the pastor keeps on saying, in conclusion, they say, then he preaches for like 30 minutes. Then he says, finally, then another 20 minutes.
You're dissing pastors, Mzuzukile. No, you're dissing pastors. It's politicians. It's politicians who do finally, in conclusion, 10 times. Pastors do it twice and then buy a van.
Nice. You do a lot of great work through your foundation, Dr. Lena.
Yeah.
Can you tell us what inspired you to start that? Well, I can say I have an idea, but it's always beautiful when you hear it from the author, what it does and where we can plug in and assist.
Yeah. So I started Dr. Lena in 2004, and it's because in 2003 I finished my PhD in 2002, and in 2003 I won an award of the most outstanding young researcher in the country, young Black researcher, and this thing, young female, I think it's female, and this thing came up that I'm the first Black African, South African woman to get a PhD in mathematics education. So I thought, wow. I thought, sure, and people, it was said as they were announcing me for the award, besides the research that I was doing, there was this thing. And I thought, wow, that's great. But, I always think when these kind of things happen, you have a responsibility, because then I thought 10 years from now, anyone who hears this will have a right to ask me, are you still the only one? And so I thought it is my business to make sure that I'm not the last. And so that's when I decided to start Dr. Lena. And I started it in Garankuwa, where I come from, as we spoke earlier, where I grew up, in a school where I did my grade 8 and 9. That's where I went to Totebe to start Dr. Lena. And it's because I thought what got me here and what could have, and I realized what got me there was actually surviving, serendipity, luck, all sorts of things that got me there. And I thought, what would have been a smooth route for someone, even if they grow up poor? What would have helped? And I thought, yes, it would have helped if when I was still at primary school or middle school or high school, to have someone who shows me that it's possible, who's interested in my maths, so I thought I'm going to be that person. And so I went into that school and started adopting children from that. And then when the government introduced no fee paying schools, then I started focusing on adopting learners who complete matric from township and village schools to get into university. First, I was supporting them. It was this group that I was going with, and I thought I'll go with them when they go to university, and paying their school fees, uniform, educational needs, everything, and giving them a prize for the one who's performed well every end of the year. So it started that way. I know that oftentimes when I talk about Dr. Lena, I get thousands of people saying, please support us, phoning me and whatever. Here's the thing. I don't raise funds for Dr. Lena. I work for it. I don't publish a call, or there's no application form. We adopt learners that we meet at different places. I mean, it's odd, and I'm living it in this way. Some of them we meet on social media. Some of them are learners who pass matric very well. They get accepted to do actuarial science, and they go to university. They come from a village, whatever, and second year, they fail statistics again, and the university says you can't go on with actuarial science. Clearly, you can't do this, even if they passed everything. And the student decides, okay, I'll shift to engineering, or I'll shift to BSc, majoring in mathematics, and computer science. And the sponsor says, well, we were sponsoring you because you were doing actuarial science. If you're not doing it, we can't sponsor you anymore. And a lot of the students we fund came that way. And so that's why we don't advertise, we don't whatever, because those students are bright. They just lose their scholarship because they can't continue with actuarial science. And many of them, of the students that we've supported, have done very well. Of course, we also have in the past supported a student who did nursing in Pretoria. There's some students who went to, there's one student who did a diploma in language writing or something. He actually published a book last year. So there's odd ones. So we don't just focus on mathematics or science, but the majority of them happen to be in mathematics or science. We don't just focus on the ones who are women. It's a mix. But of course, there's a bias to women. And I don't raise funds. And because I'm in Cape Town, when I was in Gauteng, I used to do mobilize people, and then we go and volunteer in schools. But it's a lot of admin. Our people, if they volunteer to go and help in schools, they want you to get transport for them, you must pay. And then you must feed them, and then they don't like the brown bread, and then the one doesn't like this, doesn't like that. So I don't have money to do that. Okay, so we pay for the students, we pay for the fees, we pay for their accommodation, we give them a stipend. We don't dump them if they fail. And so there are students who've been in the pipeline for a long time. We counsel them, we work with them, we check what the problem is. And the idea, of course, is that, poverty is brutal. And they don't even have to have achieved high scores. I mean, as I say, one of the students went to do nursing. She had gotten a diploma pass, and she went to do nursing. Some didn't get a university pass. And so it's passion and potential. And we would take them on and support them. And I fund it from my pocket or from the talks. Ideally, I don't do these things for free like I'm talking to you. I would have asked you to donate to Dr. Lena. That's what you do. I don't usually agree to do these things for free. But that's how I make the money. I don't have time to raise funds, to write proposals. I don't want to hire anybody. People are a problem. I don't want to hire anybody because I don't have money to pay them. The money must pay for the students. So that's how we run Adopt Helena. We also, of course, I also have other scholarships. I'm sure you heard that I donate 20% of my salary to scholarships at UCT, to the Rhodes Must Fall scholarship, and then the 10% to the Rhodes Must Fall scholarship, and 10% to the Mamokgethi Phakeng scholarship. The Mamokgethi Phakeng scholarship supports women, postgraduate, Black and colored South African women, postgraduate students registered at UCT. They've got to apply, they've got to be at UCT. So you can't apply for it when you're outside. They've got to apply when they're inside. We are advertising departments, they apply, and we screen and we grant. If you get it, it covers everything. Particularly the ones who are completing and they are struggling to get the final funding, we do that. And the Rhodes Must Fall scholarship, of course, focuses on the scholarship around the issues that the Rhodes Must Fall protests were addressing. The Statue of Rhodes has fallen, but the ideology hasn't fallen. Coloniality is still very much with us. How we undo that is our problem as Black people. We can't just toy. We must give to our struggle. Whether they like me or not is irrelevant. What they were fighting about for Rhodes Must Fall is very key. And I was the sole donor for solid 2 years. I was the only person who's donating. Now there's a few Black academics at UCT who have joined. The scholarship is taken up at UCT. We've given the first recipient was announced this year. And it's about really making Rhodes Must Fall meaningful, not just a statue. It was a start, but how do you deal with coloniality? And it's through scholarship we can make Rhodes fall and other kinds of scholarship rise. So that's that.
Wow, that's very powerful, and it's a great point to end our conversation. One of the reasons I do these conversations is to document the, greatness that surrounds us, the people that inspire us, that we look up to. I'm very much obsessed with, what do our children and the next generations get to witness as a testimonial or testimony, beyond us. I think we owe the next generation that in terms of how do we document our learnings, our achievements and so forth, and leave it in a platform that will outlive us, and in a way that they can be able to at some point come and consume this knowledge. I really feel like I've been schooled and super inspired. I always tell people, when I do these interviews on Thursdays, I'm tired. It's Thursday. It's at night, but always at the end of the conversation, I'm super pumped. Next thing, I'll be sleeping around 2 a.m. on Friday because I was telling to Professor Mamokgethi Phakeng. Anyway, thank you. I must end it by saying, excuse me for being rude. That's a beautiful dress, and those earrings are very beautiful. I should have said that at the beginning. Then look it. But thank
No,
you very
and I should say that the dress is made by South African women in KZN.
Wow.
The print actually.
Wow.
They print the cloth and they made it. It's just amazing. I'm trying to remember the name now. I wear everything South African. I mean, I do everything South African from everything.
Yeah, we don't just speak; we also live it.
Yes. And I love the work you do on BrownSense. I mean, you don't know, but I've got some amazing earrings that I got at the BrownSense market in Cape Town back in 2018 or 2017. Yeah.
Yes. We are coming back soon, so hopefully next year. I'll be paying Cape Town a visit because that's one of our intentions to get back to Cape Town next year.
That will be great. Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. Enjoy your evening, and all the best with the leadership session that side.
Thank you so much. Have a good evening.
Thanks, you too. Bye-bye. Wow. Thanks, guys. Anyway, before Mangshang and load shedding, thank you for joining me. I'm back. I've got another interview next week with a highly esteemed entrepreneur. I will post a StreamYard announcement following this one, as well as the week after next week. Next week. Thank you very much. Enjoy your evening as I'm doing the countdown before the guy was ESCOM shuts me out.